In the vibrant, bustling town of Capernaum, life pulsed through every dusty street and alley. Merchants called out their wares, children ran and laughed, and conversations filled the air, blending with the scents of spices and baked bread. But above all this clamour, a hum of anticipation rippled through the crowd, a shared sense of wonder that seemed to draw people together like a magnet. They were gathering for a reason. Jesus of Nazareth had arrived. Word had spread that he was performing miracles, healing the sick, restoring sight to the blind, and casting out demons. People came from all over, each carrying their own needs, hopes and burdens, hoping to witness his power or perhaps receive a miracle for themselves. And there, hidden in the shadows at the edge of the crowd, was a woman burdened by a secret of suffering that had isolated her from this very life that swirled around her. For 12 long years she had lived with a bleeding condition that left her body weak and her spirit weary. According to the customs of her time, she was considered unclean. People avoided her, fearing contamination, and by the laws of her society she was isolated, unable to touch or be touched. Her affliction was not only physical but also deeply emotional and spiritual. Each day was a cycle of hope and disappointment, as doctor after doctor failed to bring relief. She'd sold nearly everything she had, watching her last coin slip through her fingers in a desperate search for healing. And so she had lived on the outskirts of society, unseen and untouched, her body drained, her spirit bruised, but her hope still flickering, a fragile flame that refused to go out. Now, crouched in the shadow of a building, she could feel that familiar ache in her heart. She knew she was forbidden to approach others, yet here she was, compelled by something beyond her own understanding. The stories of Jesus had reached even her lonely ears, and now, seeing him there in the crowd, her hope surged into a single thought that pulsed through her mind. If I can just touch the edge of his cloak, I will be healed. This was her only chance. With her heart pounding like a drum in her chest, the woman felt an overwhelming mix of fear and determination. Each step she took felt like a monumental leap as she squeezed through the throng of people, the crowd's energy buzzing around her. Voices rose and fell in excitement, but to her it was as if the world faded away, leaving only the figure of Jesus glowing ahead. The scent of sweat and dust filled her lungs, yet all she could focus on was the promise of healing that seemed to radiate from him. She remembered the stories, the tales of the blind receiving sight, and the lame walking again. As she drew closer, her pulse quickened and doubt crept in. Would she be shunned? Would she be rejected? But the flicker of hope urged her on, compelling her to reach out one trembling hand toward the hem of his garment. When her fingers finally brushed against the fabric, an electric sensation coursed through her, an immediate warmth that spread from her fingertips to the depths of her soul. In that split second, she felt a profound stillness envelop her, a release from the years of torment. It was as if a weight she had carried for more than a decade had been lifted in an instant. The relentless flow of blood that had marked her life with pain and isolation ceased, and she gasped, overwhelmed by a rush of peace she had long forgotten. For the first time in 12 years, she felt whole, her body restored, her spirit renewed. In that sacred moment, she realized she was not just a woman with a sickness, she was a daughter of hope, embraced by the very miracle she had dared to seek. As Jesus continued to move through the throng, he suddenly halted, a palpable intensity radiating from him, as he turned to address the crowd. "Who touched me?" he inquired, his voice cutting through the murmur of confusion and chatter. The people surrounding him were bewildered, jostling against one another, each hoping to be closer to him, yet unaware of the singular act of faith that had just occurred. His disciples exchanged glances, their brows furrowed in confusion, as they pointed out the absurdity of his question. Everyone was touching him, but Jesus pressed on, his gaze scanning the crowd with purpose and conviction, proclaiming, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." In this moment, he demonstrated not just awareness but a profound understanding of the spiritual connection that had been established through the woman's faith, as he waited expectantly for her to step forward. Feeling the weight of Jesus' penetrating gaze upon her, the woman knew she could no longer remain hidden. Her heart raced as she stepped forward, trembling with a mix of fear and vulnerability. As she fell to her knees before him, the reality of her suffering poured out in a rush, a heartfelt confession of 12 years, marked by relentless pain, profound isolation, and an unwavering hope that had kept her alive through despair. With her eyes locked onto his, she braced herself for potential rebuke or scorn, fully aware of the societal norms that deemed her unclean and undeserving of attention. Yet, amidst her anxiety, there was also a flicker of anticipation, hoping for compassion from the man who had already begun to transform her life with a single touch. But instead of condemnation, he spoke with kindness. "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." In those words, she found not only healing for her body but also restoration for her spirit. As she walked away, a wave of joy and freedom surged through her, washing away the years of pain and suffering that had once defined her existence. The burden of shame and isolation fell away, replaced by a newfound lightness in her spirit. Each step felt like a dance of liberation, and with every stride, her heart swelled with gratitude for the miracle she had just experienced. Those around her watched in awe, their whispers rising like a chorus, spreading the news of her transformation. She was no longer just the woman burdened by a chronic affliction, but rather the embodiment of faith, a living testament to the power of belief and the miracles it could bring. This story teaches us profound lessons about the importance of faith and the courage to seek healing, both physically and spiritually. It reminds us that no matter how dire our circumstances may seem, hope can lead us to unexpected miracles. The woman's journey reflects the transformative power of vulnerability and the strength found in acknowledging our struggles. By reaching out and stepping into the light, we too can experience healing and renewal. Moreover, it emphasizes that our faith, even when small, can lead to significant changes in our lives, reminding us that we are never alone in our battles, and that seeking help can be the first step toward profound change.